Hey guys, Kenny Stapleton, Area 401, and I haven't made a YouTube video, in a hot minute. So, been working on knife stuff, a little dagger, and another dagger. Pretty cool stuff. This was a collaboration between me and a buddy, Archangel Blades in Plainfield, Illinois. But I'd like to address an issue, and it kind of ekes me. I stay pretty adamant about training, and not just firearms training. I try to keep up with a little bit of medical. I've got buddies that are into it. I honestly admit that I don't have a lot of medical skills, and I'd like to have more, but I know that by addressing that issue that I'm working on it. And I believe everybody should learn every day, whether it's something small, something big, something that, maybe you got enlightened of and just didn't know, or started to look at something through a different light. So I've got kind of fed up with this mentality of I'll just do it when it gets here. It's like that's not how it works. The most proficient athletes in the world do that as a job. So you're talking about, whether it's sports. I really don't care about sports, but sports, medical field, special forces, military, and they look at an obstacle that's put in front of them, and they have the experience to adjust and tackle that as best they know how, with the experience that they have and the knowledge that they have. But I just get aggravated at the mentality of people that go, I'll figure it out when it gets here. Well, that's way too late, and hopefully, I guess if I had that mindset, I would like to just be gone already. So by that I mean, I get a lot of people, and I've overheard discussions of go bags and tactics and this, that, and the other, and it's like, I'm prepared for what? Exactly what are you prepared for? So, and I did a video on this a while back discussing ammo, like stockpiling ammo versus like training ammo, and my big catch was just the amount of people that say, "Oh, I've got 10,000 rounds of 5.56. I've got 5,000 rounds of 308, and I just got all this stuff." And I'm like, "That's cool. Do you train with it?" A revolving door of ammo. By that I mean, like, you buy a considerable amount, you shoot some of it or most of it, then you continually buy and you continually train. That's where I'm at. That's where a lot of my buddies are at. So I have enough, I believe. I definitely don't have 10,000 rounds of 5.56 laying around, because if I did, I'd shoot more. But so with that, I want to kind of dive in a little bit more, is like, what is that your mindset versus like your ability? So if the end of the world, or if stuff went down, economic collapse, all this, that, and the other, what are your plans past you having stuff? Are you prepared to exercise? So if things do go bad, are you able to stay at home and hold down your fort, per se? Do you live in a subdivision? Do you live in town? Do you live where unlikely groups would like to have the stuff that you have? And that's stuff that I think about. That's stuff I think about for my friends and family and stuff like that. So, okay, if you are able to fortify Do you have the food? Do you have the knowledge to sustain? Is the grid down? What past that are you capable of doing? And I'm not saying I am a prepper by any means, um, and I probably honestly should have a little bit more food supply and water supply. But I do have water on the property, which is nice. So with that is, and the big part of it is like I got into, well, I overheard a conversation talking about go bags, and this guy's like, yeah, I got a 38-liter bag and this, that, and the other, and he's got camping supplies in it, medical supplies, some dry goods, a little bit of food, this, that, and the other. I was like, okay, that doesn't seem like a bad setup. Maybe, you know, at the end of the day, you know, if you're pretty fit, you know, I'm looking, or from what I can understand, he's probably rocking around a 35-pound bag, 30 to 35-pound go bag. And I'm looking at the stature of the man, and I don't want to be critical of it, but at the same time, it's like, do you have a go bag or do you have like a go die bag? You know, is that like that the bag that's the last thing that you carry to your death because you're unfit to carry it? And not saying unfit mentally, you know, you might be a great person, but if you're not fit enough to actually proceed with that bag, and I mean, maybe you have a small child, maybe you have a dog, maybe, you know, maybe you're just in a bad terrain. So what I'm getting at is the physical ability of it. I am by no means a Olympic athlete, but I do train, I do move. I feel pretty proficient with the knowledge that I do have, and I'm always, you know, fighting for more. But a lot of people, they seem really content with the stuff that they have versus the ability that they have, and they rely on the you know, when the time comes thing, I'll get it done. It's like, no, you won't. Like, you know, if you have a basic first aid kit and you don't know how to pack a wound, whether it be um, from a gunshot or a bow and arrow or just falling down and impaling yourself on a stick, you know, if you don't know how to properly dress that wound, that kit does you no good. And I've said this time and time again, just because you buy a race car doesn't make you a race car driver. So, and that's the same thing as, you know, buying 10,000 rounds of ammo and having 30 ARs packed in the corner. That's awesome. You might be able to use that for trade. But if you don't know how to use it proficiently, you can buy all the stuff in the world. Gear and gadgets will not buy you experience. So I've been shooting for a good while, but as far as like training and actually putting effort into, like, the last like 5 years have been pretty solid for me. I have a basic understanding of survivalist skills. I can build a shelter, I can build a fire, I can build fire several different ways. Obviously, I like a lighter. You know, I mean, I can do it with 2 sticks. That takes a long time. I can do it with a stick, some ashes, and a cotton swab. That's actually pretty cool. But if I have the chance to use a lighter to start a fire, I'm going to use a lighter. But so with that, and I have first aid kits in all my vehicles. My wife's an RN, and you know, she has one as well. So, and I probably take a little bit more credit from her as far as the medical ability, because I kind of use her as a crutch on my medical knowledge, and I shouldn't. Obviously, you know, you're your own survivor, so you know, if something happens, you know, I have to have the ability to do it, and I know that, and I've been working more towards it. Some friends have helped me out. They're in the medical field. She's in the medical field, obviously. But I just want to kind of touch on, like, do you have the physical ability to utilize your knowledge and the tools that you have. I'm not saying that, if you own 100 guns, 200, 500, and you got 2 million rounds of ammo, that's awesome. I'm not necessarily like shitting on your parade for that. If that's what you like, I've got some stuff that I'm never going to use. But I just want people to get past that mindset of when the time comes, I'll be prepared, without preparing. you know or they'll have some miraculous intervention that they know what to do and how to do it and where to do it proficiently. And that's the same thing with firearms tactics and gear. Until you've played out some of these scenarios, you're not going to understand both sides. Actually, sometimes both sides are right, sometimes both sides are wrong, and sometimes there's 5 sides. So if you look at if you just break it down to tactics, past handling skills, gun handling skills, we were running scenarios. And that's the thing with scenarios, you can run as many as you possibly could ever think of. And to go into a scenario that has been laid out 100% to the T that you practice them is likely not going to happen. But with having people with different, or same mindset, but a different view of that mindset, you are able to gain knowledge and information on how things could be processed in a certain environment. And that means a lot. And having like-minded people around you to learn from. Human beings are not meant to, in my opinion, survive by themselves. We're group thinkers. That's how society has come to the way it is. People have banded together and got stuff done. So, and that's another thing, is if you are in a group, do the other people in the group have the ability to fulfill the obligation that they have to the group? And that's not necessarily all the time responsible on the male side. It's also female side, and depending on children, what age they're at, have you gave them the knowledge? Have you allowed them to experience different things and to teach them? Because that's a huge thing. I just like learning. And every day that if I can come out with something new, whether it be through my own experience or helping a buddy, and then, or him explaining to me something that happened, I take it all in and try to do the best that I can with the information that I have. So I just want to reiterate: are you doing what is necessary to sustain a furtherment in your relationship here on earth? With other people, with yourself. Are you capable of making movements and practices, or fulfilling the practices that you've made previous to this, and continuing that? I do not want people to become lazy in what they're capable of. And I've done it. I got out of the gym, and I've always been active. But anybody that's always been active versus like the active person that does goes to the gym or runs, it's different. It is extremely different. I got out of the gym for a few years, and just my physical strength, my body stature's always been pretty much just like this. I'm about 15 pounds heavier than when I left high school, but I got out of the gym for a couple of years, and like I said, I've always been active. But when I went back to the gym, I noticed a huge physical depletion, as far as capability of what I could do versus what I could do then. But I got my head out of my rear end and got back in the gym, trying to sustain that. So relying on what you could do years ago is not a great strategy if things happen now. So, sorry, I got a bunch of stuff on my table. I'm working on knives. No, that just kind of aggravates me. People's mindset towards the things that they talk about, but don't put the effort in or the exercise to be able to fulfill those duties. And if anybody tells you they don't have time, they're a liar. And I know I've wasted several nights, tinkering on my phone, playing on TikTok, watching other guys on YouTube. But until you take responsibility for yourself and your actions, you'll not be able to fulfill those duties. But hopefully, maybe you can use this as a little bit of motivation. Give me some feedback. Obviously the whole like, subscribe deal. I don't have a huge channel, but I do need to make more videos. There for a while I was more proficient at it, but kind of got out of it. I've been busy with life versus YouTube, and like I said, I could have made time. I just chose not to, slacking. So that's my own endeavor. But hopefully this helps you guys out, and